welcome to OVA Hell. If you like the podcast, please be sure to like and subscribe and share with your friends. This episode is about the 1985 OVA Angel's Egg. This is a movie which is heavy on symbology and ripe for interpretation, so while the only content warnings we have for the film itself are horror, light violence, and death, this episode discusses themes of sexual violence, religious violence, abuse, violence against women, loss of innocence and trauma, among others. Viewer discretion is advised, and we really hope you enjoy the show.
I guess I'll start.
Yeah.
Top of the evening to you, laddies. My name's Dr. Lockdown.
Okay, no. I was fucking thinking like, oh man, Jacksepticeye intro.
I didn't even finish it without laughing. And I deliberately chose such because we are discussing Angel's Egg as part of OVA Hell today, and I figured Jacksepticeye would be the least appropriate thing to do for that. Anyway, this is OVA Hell. I'm Dr. Lockdown. We have MerriKiwi, Quartz Rules, Juniper. Same old, same old. If you don't know the whole thing by now, you really should, because this podcast is great except for me. Truth be told, I'm actually quite...
That's not true. We all know I'm the worst part of the podcast. Because I don't know what the fuck everyone talks about.
We're all the worst part of the podcast.
Truth be told, genuinely I am feeling very depressed, and so if I seem out of it this episode, well, that's very on brand, because Angel's Egg is... whoa.
This sure was a choice. Angel's Egg, 1985's Angel's Egg. It's turning 40 this year. It turns 40 this December. So the decision was that we would cover this, and I'm not entirely sure if that was a great decision because this is a lot. Created by, as a collab between Mamoru Oshii and Yoshitaka Amano, directed by Mamoru Oshii, and written by Mamoru Oshii, and starring...
Amano, I think, actually. Wrote some of it.
He might have... I've only seen him credited as co-creator, not necessarily writer is part of it.
I saw him credited as writer somewhere, but I can't source that because I was scanning through. No, co-creator, you're right. No,
yeah, co-creator. And starring Jinpachi Nezu as Shonin and Mako Hayado as Shoujo. There are two characters in this film and like 20 lines of dialogue.
And they're called Boy and Girl.
Yeah.
What did everyone think of this movie?
It's really good.
It was really good.
It was really good, and it's got my brain going places.
I liked it a lot.
I think when we started watching it, we didn't have a lot to say because it was very atmospheric. And then as we started kind of gaining tiny bits of information, we started coming up with theories. And towards the end, it was just non-stop. Okay, maybe that means that. Maybe this means this.
Engaging with art. Who would have thought it? You know.
It's very much an OVA that it doesn't ask you, but it encourages theories and your own personal interpretation. Quartz, you described it as a litmus test. You want to talk more about that?
I don't think I ever actually said the words litmus test. Thank you for making me sound smarter than I am.
You did.
You said something.
I literally said it in the podcast. I remember, I don't know if this is Mandela affecting that June has somehow put in my brain, but I distinctly remember you saying litmus test, so...
I think what you get out of Angel's Egg is what you put in. There's definitely a quote-unquote correct interpretation. While we were on break, Mira pulled up actually what might be a direct explanation of the film, which I don't think you should read. There is
I genuinely read it and was just like,
how about
shit.
I've got an idea. How about we go over our thoughts, then at the end the person who went over and read it explains it at the end, and we all go, oh, and then that makes sense, right?
That could work.
Yeah, that could work.
Even if we don't do that, I am planning on reading it myself, because I don't like unanswered questions. I like to know what the intent was. And that's just me being a shitter.
It's
Well-
intriguing to have a movie that is so abstract that you can come to your own conclusions, it's so artistic, and then be like, oh, by the way, there is a correct interpretation, which apparently Mamoru Oshii likes to do.
Yeah.
I said this on break, and we were watching the credits. I think I need a second viewing of the OVA. I'm not
See, I
sure.
could see that. There's loads of elements that, like, I didn't get. Like, when I was looking stuff up in the break, nothing, like, spoilery, but all the articles and stuff described it as an underwater city, which I didn't get. I thought it was a city that was flooding, not that it was
Yeah.
underwater.
Yeah. There's a lot to take away from this movie. There's so much to take away from this movie. It is a dense ass movie, and
It's a movie that is
Again, I think-
simultaneously super dense and also light as air, with how much space it gives to just exist.
interpret. Yeah.
Except the monologue about Noah's Ark, which was fascinating, because it was, like, 4 lines of dialogue, and then, like, 5 minutes of constant, like, this is what happens in the Bible, kind of.
His Bible story.
This Bible story.
Yeah,
So if you turn to page 15 in your Bibles that you obviously brought to this showing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Required reading for this episode of OVA Hell, the Bible.
I was under the impression that there was a lot less dialogue in the OVA. I keep calling it a film. In this OVA,
It's a film.
I'll call it a film. I was under the impression there was a lot less dialogue in this film than there actually was. There was a decent amount of it, honestly. Like, a lot of ambient shots and walking in silence. But, a lot more dialogue and speaking and hints at what might have happened or possible interpretations of what happened through the Bible verse. There's one bit before the talk about the Bible thing where the man says that he's seen a tree, like that was in the mural. He's seen that somewhere before, but he can't remember where. And the way he described it made me think of the mushroom cloud of Nuclear Bomb.
Oh, interesting.
You see, I interpreted that as the Tree of Life. I mean specifically.
Yggdrasil.
No, I mean the, depiction of evolution,
Oh, like the
Oh,
branch
right, yeah.
pathways.
but flipped upside down.
Oh. Everything's
with
converging into one because everyone's dying.
Yeah,
Everyone's
but then
turning
with
into
all the
crab.
fossils as well of all of these past creatures.
Oh, yeah.
But he describes
Aside-
sorry. He described
That's
the tree as, like, choking out life, and, like, its roots digging in and sucking up the life out of everything. So that made me think of, well, a mushroom cloud is kind of tree-shaped. Rather than straws here.
Or is it like society again?
It could be.
Oh my god. It could be.
I did think so. One thing that kind of kept coming up for me was genuinely like stranger danger because she's so small and he's like the only other. And it's like an adult man or whatever. And then the way that a lot of it was depicted, I was like,
Step away from her.
yeah, literally.
Yeah, like, there was... she does say, stop following me, why are you following me, who are you? And he doesn't respond to any of those, he just keeps following her.
And then mansplains stuff to her.
Yeah, and then
Explains the Bible.
mansplains.
It's literally the scene from Inuyashiki. Where he's just killed her whole family and is then just like, do you like One Piece? And starts talking to her about One Piece. It's really funny.
I've got some info on Mamoru Oshii if we want to take a quick sidetrack to get through some of that, because I think that he's an interesting guy.
Okay.
In terms of, history. Mamoru Oshii is one of those creatives that, like, you kind of... I don't know how to really describe him. He's in that kind of same level of... I'm gonna backtrack a little. I'm trying to formulate thoughts on that, and where I was going with that completely terminated immediately.
He's a bit of an auteur.
Yeah. Thank you. That is the word that was kind of what I was looking for. He started out working as a storyboard artist on Urusei Yatsura.
Oh wow.
Because everything goes back to Urusei Yatsura.
It
or
really
Sailor
does.
Moon. Did you know that Bulma's first ever appearance, ever, full stop, was in an episode of Urusei Yatsura? Bulma Dragon Ball.
Interesting.
Unrelated cool fact. Mamoru Oshii was the director on the first two Ghost in the Shell movies. If anyone's heard of Mamoru Oshii, it's probably from there. That, or from Jinro, the Wolf Brigade, which also people have typically heard of, although maybe not as much. Jinro is kind of his main thing, or the Kerebos saga, which Jinro is a part of, is Oshii's main thing. It's been his main creative output for most of his career, encompassing a number of films, manga, TV shows, radio dramas. According to Wikipedia, a single episode of the Urusei Yatsura series is tied into it. I don't think I believe you, Wikipedia. The more I looked into it, the more I was like, I think someone edited Wikipedia maliciously, and that's not true. But I've also not watched that specific episode, so, you know.
I've heard it stated that Wikipedia is a good point to start your research, but don't actually draw anything from Wikipedia.
If you go in, deep into deep into research, then you can just scroll down to the sources and have a look there. It's a better option.
He also
but if you want
directed a Halo
basic
movie.
information, that's good stuff. A Halo movie, sorry.
Yes! Or a Halo short film. He directed... oh god, give me a second. He was the director, if I'm not mistaken, on... Or creative director. I might be misselling his role here. On... Where is it? Halo Legends.
Oh my god,
Okay.
interesting.
So he worked on the Good Halo television movie thing project. The Good Halo
Yes.
adaptation. Not the other one that we don't speak of.
Yep. And he also did a manga with Satoshi Kon.
Huh. I know, I've got a few facts about Yoshitaka Amano, if you'd like to hear them.
Yeah,
Sure thing.
So, Yoshitaka Amano in the 80s was working on a lot of Final Fantasy, which I feel like you could potentially see in Angel's Egg, in terms of, the types of games they were producing at the
The
time.
art style is very reminiscent of the box art you'd see in Final Fantasy, come to think of it, so yeah.
My second fun fact is that Amano worked on a Sandman graphic novel.
Oh, yeah. It's good to have people tied to the Sandman that you can look at and go, they're cool.
But I think, because it was so minimal in the writing and the art style and kind of the vibe of it takes such a precedent, I wonder how much Amano influenced the story. Obviously, Mamoru Oshii gets a lot of the credit a lot of the time as, the guy who makes movies. But I wonder how much influence Amano actually had. Because I did read, probably on the wiki, so, quite check my sources. But apparently, it was meant to be a comedy, and then, because it was supposed to be the Lupin movie, and then he saw Amano's work.
That's not what happened, no. I read this while we were watching it, and it turns out that's misconstrued. What happened was, the idea of the bird fossil and the existence of a girl were the only two things that were used. Mamoru Oshii was working on a cancelled Lupin the Third film, and then is like, well, I like these two specific ideas. What if I made a new story for him? Does that mean that this entire movie is based on Lupin the Third? No! That's not how that works!
Yes.
Well, it was originally supposed to be a Lupin movie, and they pulled the themes of that story
He
into
literally
this
says
one.
in the interview,
And
I
it
googled
was-
this, they asked him, were any of the themes and ideas used? And he said, no, just the bird fossil and the girl. Physical concepts. None of the themes or anything else. I looked at the interview.
But I think it's interesting that the two creatives that were working on that cancelled project ended up kind of putting it in such a different direction. Because obviously they were working on something that didn't work out, and then moved on to something else together as a team. So
That is
obviously he can
very-
say only those two elements were pulled. Like, oh, only those two physical things, nothing else. But that's not how creation works, you know?
I guess. I don't know. It's just when you said, oh, this was supposed to be a Lupin the Third movie, I'm watching it and thinking, imagine Lupin just appearing in this world and then pulling Lupin hijinks while the entire post-apocalypse falls apart. I'm like, how would that work?
To be fair, this would have been really early days for Lupin. Would this be pre-Cagliostro?
Possibly.
Because, like, pre-Cagliostro Lupin is... We're back on Lupin, god damn it. Cagliostro is kind of where a lot of Lupin gets solidified into being a thing. Because, again, you go back, you watch Marmo. Marmo is weird as shit. It
I
does
don't
not
remember
fit
much.
in a lot of ways.
I don't remember
Cagliostro was
much of
79, so just before, or a couple of years before.
Okay, right, so my point is... no. Anyway, Angel's Egg.
I can't believe you beat me to the joke. You beat me to
Yeah.
make the Gunsmith Cats joke before I had a chance to. Evil.
Yeah. Angel's Egg. The
Anyway,
egg of
I
the
think we
angel.
should, when talking about it, go from the beginning to the end. You know, our thoughts from when we started to where we ended, because those are wildly different thoughts.
Yeah.
I wrote down in my notes, I dig the vibe, which I do. I really like how the only things with color are the girl, the man, and weapons of war, basically.
And the fire, I think, at one point.
Was that fire?
Was there fire?
Yeah, when they're like sitting right before the spoilers breaks the egg.
Right, yeah.
It's mostly choirs, isn't it? Like,
Which
it's
I think
mostly a
ties into the
choir?
weapons, so it works.
That's, if there was any other instruments or forms of music, that didn't stick out to me. The choir really stuck with me because it's loud and again, it's oppressive. But like the lack of color makes the world feel dead, and it's still, it's quiet. All you can hear is the sound of fountains and wind and rain, and it really adds to this feeling of isolation and loneliness, but also peace.
That's why it's so startling when the fishermen start moving, because it's been so quiet for so long.
But before we get to that, as I want to talk about the tank. I think they're tanks that the man arrives on. They're really fucking loud, and I think that again that adds to the feeling of this is a small child in a world that is dead and cold, and the only thing that makes a lot of noise is deafening.
We never see
It
those
is.
tanks do anything.
No,
which
they
is
just drove,
interesting.
but it's deafening, it's heavy, it's loud, it's dangerous. I hope I'm making sense. I'm not talking out of my ass.
No, you're making a lot of sense. You're good, don't worry.
No, it's an interesting interpretation. I like it a lot. I think the score kind of adds to that as well, you know? When it gets kind of loud and like, scary, you know?
The music in this is... I mean, given how little dialogue there is, the music has to carry a lot of the audio department of the film. And it is intense at times. Like, some of that score is just force you down into your seat type shit, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense.
It's mostly
but
choirs, isn't it? Like, it's mostly a choir?
It's a lot of choir music, yeah.
That's, if there was any other instruments or forms of music, that didn't stick out to me. The choir really stuck with me. Because it's loud and, again, it's oppressive. Murdoch, sorry, you spoke about the fisherman. And,
Yes.
yes, I have an interpretation
like-
of that, but you go first because
okay.
you brought them up.
They're interesting. I didn't really know what to think of them when they turned up, because we all thought they were statues initially because they didn't move at all. And then these fish shadows start kind of moving through the environment, and they start trying to hunt them, but they're not catching anything, so they're throwing these harpoons. And they're being very, like, loud and dangerous, but to kind of no end. So I'm definitely interested to see what your interpretation is, because I don't know what to think.
To
I-
me, it kind of came across as like soldiers experiencing PTSD, like they're reliving this
That
war
is an
that's
interesting
long
interpretation.
gone, and they're like trying to get these shadows on the wall, but they're just kind of hurting everything around them because they can't discern what is and isn't real anymore. And then kind of like the statuesqueness being like a physical stuckness in the past as well.
But I didn't
Yeah.
think about that. That's really interesting.
You can tell there's a lot to think about in this movie specifically,
Yeah,
because
there's
every
a
time
lot
anyone
of-
says anything, we're all like, okay.
There's a lot to
I-
interpret.
Like, one of the few lines of dialogue there was talking about how there aren't any fish anymore. So that it seems like they succeeded, or at least, like, you know, the war was over, they killed them all.
There's a lot of
So
fish
now they
symbology
have
in
no
this film.
purpose. Yeah, because they're in the stained glass of the church as well. So,
That was a
like,
theater, I
were
thought.
those...
It was a
No, they're like
church?
fish.
Yeah, the church, when she's like standing by the window.
Oh no, I
Stained
thought that
glass
was a
one, I'm
movie
pretty sure
theater. Oops.
Oh, it did have a lot of church.
It did,
right.
yeah.
There's a like panning shot.
I actually.
Oh, I thought it was a church because, like, where else do you see stained glass? I
Yeah.
suppose.
Where else do you see seats like that? There's so much imagery, you gotta put the images up on screen.
Yeah.
I think also because of like the biblical references, like church makes sense.
Yeah.
There's a lot
So
of
apparently-
Bible in this film.
There's a lot of Bible in this, and
Yeah.
references to the Ark and the Great Flood, mainly in that one scene where the guy is talking about it. But the fishermen, I thought you guys thought they said they might have been statues. I thought they might have been like dead men. But when they were chasing the
Like
shadows of the fish, I thought, what if this is a physical manifestation of ghosts reliving something that they did over and over again? And it's so ingrained in them, that's all they can do after they're dead. And when I hope it makes sense. I can't get my thoughts out into words. I
You're
really
making
like this
sense,
film.
Kind of
don't
like-
worry.
Like ghostly shadows that can only kind of do one action.
Yeah, the one action that they did over and over again that's been ingrained, and that's all they are now.
I also think it's interesting they specifically use harpoons. Because at first, I think we all thought they were on strings.
Yeah, we all
But that
thought they were
was
like
actually
puppets.
just- Yeah, but that was just them holding the harpoon.
Are they supposed to be like whalers?
Potentially.
I mean, that makes sense, given that it's obviously being made from a Japanese point of view, and whaling is historically a big part of Japanese fishing. Yeah.
One thing I like about this movie actually is everything we're saying could be complete bullshit. We're just like seeing things.
The shadows of the fish, I think, and Quartz, you brought this up, was Coelacanth, which you said has some possible thematic meaning. Which, if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, so the thing with, as is famously known about coelacanths as a creature, is that they were long presumed to be extinct, because we had fossil records of them, but no records in the modern day, so the assumption was, oh, it went extinct sometime in the last few million years, and then one day, well, it's not quite one day, a few hundred years ago now, I think it was over 100 years ago, a couple of hundred years ago now, they just showed up again, and it was like, oh, so it wasn't extinct the whole time. I don't think it was quite like that, but it's still a case of something that was dead, that we thought was gone, but that, like, came back. So if, and I'm not saying they are, because I'm not a fish expert. I'm not a fish scientist. But if the fish in that sequence were coelacanths, if they were inspired by coelacanths, which again they look like, there could be some potential symbolism there on death and rebirth, and like things that you think are gone but aren't actually, and all of that. look at us, fucking funny. Last episode we talked about tentacle hentai. This episode we're talking about smart stuff like thematics and ideas.
And
Well,
I'm
This
going
is
to
out
fully
of
admit,
character
I
for
have
a
a com-
podcast.
I have a completely different thoughts about where it actually goes, and I can make it sound funny if you want, or I can do it seriously.
It's up
do
to
it
you.
seriously.
Like, yeah.
Okay,
that's
I'll
the
do it
vibe.
seriously fine. I reckon it's the economy. I reckon it's society, and that may sound really, really crazy, but let me just put this into perspective for a second. Basically, Japan, by the 80s, they were desperately on the edge of just economic collapse. You know, things were getting absolutely absurd. And, you know, that's when we started seeing a really bad rise in work culture in Japan. The churning out, the way that, you know, people were just being chewed up by the system and thrown out. Big, giant machines falling down from the sky, just trying to chase dreams of a greater economic future and not being able to. Literally chasing, you know, seal accounts? Is that what it was?
Yes.
Over and over and over again, trying to, you know, bring glory for the country, financial glory, you know, familial glory. But in the end, they just so burnt out that they practically turn to stone, and then they're brought up, and then the next one's brought in again, all while the country falls into ruin, i.e. basically a big old, you know, flooding of the city. And in the whole process, you know, innocence is lost in the process. You know, you go into the world hoping to make a difference, hoping to do everything, and then the innocence is lost you know, with the girl, and it's kind of seen as her coming of age and realizing the true lack of, you know, the lack of importance in society, the lack of, you know, wide-eyed wonder. Her egg is cracked by, you know, the patriarchy and the economic system, and like the rest, she turns to stone. She loses her innocence, and she's brought back up. And of course, the country will be, you know, basically everyone's going to be brought back down and plonked in the city again, being the next generation. Same old, same old, same old. If that makes any sense, which it probably doesn't.
That makes sense.
I'm not familiar with the financial crisis back then, so I have to take your word for it. I do believe you. And that is a very interesting interpretation. And expanding on that, the fishermen were literally chasing shadows.
Yes,
So that could
and that's what I was
be-
getting at. They were
Yeah.
chasing phantoms from an older time of economic boom and growth and craziness. They're chasing, you know, former glory that just doesn't exist in society anymore, which is why they constantly throw their spears, try to catch their mark and, you know, get financial stability and all that stuff. And they fail because, you know, that's an illusion. It's a ghost from another time. Of course they can't get any of that stuff.
How do you think the egg comes into it?
Loss of
Like,
innocence.
thematically.
Loss of innocence.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Growing up.
Because
The moment you lose your
after
egg.
sorry, I was gonna say after the fishermen, they go up into they go up into a tower, and the world starts kind of flooding. If we're gonna continue with the kind of progress.
No,
Yeah?
continue.
And then there's in the tower, the girl's been collecting these like vials of water
Yeah.
and placing them on the staircase.
What? I have no idea what the water was about. Does anyone have any
On
ideas
the-
about the
The
jugs?
corners of every wall and every staircase is a vial of water. I don't know if it was mostly empty or like full. It was a bit hard to tell.
I'm
Just
pretty
the
sure
art
it's
style.
varied.
Yeah.
Do you think so? He asks her how long she's been there, and
And-
she says that she's been doing it for longer than there were jars, or what did she
No,
say?
He's like,
he said,
is it
"Is
like
every
one
jar
per
a
day?"
day?" And
Yeah.
she shook her head.
And she says no. So there's like some other reason it's not timekeeping. But I wonder if it's kind of more about a sense of preservation. Like she's trying to keep things, like it's almost like obsessive hoarding. Because it's always the same sort of object, these like big glass, like, I don't know what you'd call them, because they're kind of like, almost like jugs, like she drinks out of them. But also like they're kind of ridiculously huge. Like, it's just not practical to carry water that way.
Possibly
But then
like
it's like,
spherical
why is this
glass
such
vases.
a common item? Possibly.
Yeah, or like the ones you use in labs.
Yeah. But it's
Because
interesting
they're-
that they're slightly different as well. Like, it's not one thing. Like, this is something everyone had at some point for some reason.
On the subject
I
of the
could
girl,
be.
I do actually have a fun fact about her. So both of the VAs in this movie are interesting. The guy that voices the boy, the man, this is one of his two anime roles. He was mostly a live action actor. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2016 due to complications with pneumonia. But he did two anime roles. Both were with Oshi, because his other one was in Pat Labor 2. But the VA for the girl is also the VA for Brock's mum from Pokemon. And she's also Kogane in Ranma 1/2. I've not watched Ranma, but
Oh, is she?
yeah.
Ranma's good. You should watch Ranma. So, several point.
At some point, I'll get round to it. But yeah, voice of Brock's mum is also the little girl in this movie, which is certainly interesting.
That's really interesting. Speaking of interesting, the way they looked was fascinating. Like, their hair was so scrungly and they looked so kind of disheveled, especially the girl.
Yeah.
That was
I'm
actually
tired.
one of my few notes, was that I thought it was really good at conveying hair texture, because they're very noticeably different in that regard. Like, hers is very, like, scrungly and almost, like, lank, because there's, like, all of the individual hairs, whereas his is kind of more of, like, an amorphous, fluffy blob of hair. Like, it feels like potentially, like, he knows how to look after himself more.
With his weird gun, sword, crucifix,
Bicycle.
Whatever that was.
It definitely had brakes, right? Not crazy.
I thought those were triggers.
really
I
did.
thought it was like a cannon.
You know, it kind of reminds me of the bikes from Star Wars. You know, the
Yeah,
long ones?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
It could be. Like, it was very obviously a part of something. Like, I don't think it was a specific weapon. I mean, when he finally uses it, he just kind of clobbers it into the floor.
Yeah, and it cracks
I
the floor
threw
as
it
well.
on
Very
the
strong.
ground.
I have a reason to believe that it's a very specific thing, but I'm really trying to avoid bringing up that doc right now, because
Yeah.
yeah.
You don't want to fail No Nostalgia November.
No, not No Nostalgia. I've already failed No Nostalgia November.
Unfortunately, there are no giant spiders in this movie. I think it's a very missed opportunity. Very big
Because
missed
they don't have
opportunity.
bones,
Words
they can't
difficult and sleepy.
fossilise.
It is 11:30.
Oh
And I have
god.
done two
Actually,
back-to-back
it's 11:24.
shifts. I don't care.
Do you want to pull it to the end then? Talk about the ending.
Unless there's anything that anyone else wants to, because we do kind of need to. Well, not need to.
The
but we should
boat.
probably. We'll hit the boat.
I want
We
to.
do
I
Yeah,
do want to talk
you
about
go.
something in the boat. But this is in the boat, so
in the boat. Yeah.
The only other thing I have for that middle section is sort of, it kind of reminded me of another biblical idea, the Tower of Babel. And this idea of trying to, like, reach up to God and being punished for it. Especially with kind of, like, the fishermen again, like, they're chasing these massive things. Like, are they supposed to be representative of God? Like, is this a post-apocalypse because humanity killed God and this is what's left?
Do you think the angel is like part of that as well?
Yeah, like, what did they kill?
We've not even really talked about the angel, despite the fact that I think that might be one of the most important things that happens in that tower. Even though I'm
Yeah,
not
at the top of the
entirely
tower.
certain of what it means.
you
Yeah.
reminded me.
Well, there's a-
in the tower. Sorry, you're right. In the tower, the water bottles all start to converge on one singular point. Because you can see in one scene they're standing in between two rows, and so I'm wondering, what happens when the girl completes that line? Is there like a goal she has in mind? Is it, what's it about?
Or is she just kind of going through the motions, doing, like, if she didn't start it, perhaps maybe she's just kind of following. There's jars there. I'll keep putting them down.
There's definitely kind of like a sense of tradition to it, and like the lack of understanding of who you are, where you've been, like where are you going. You just keep doing the same actions because that's what you do.
Yeah.
And then maybe like the egg kind of was representative, like, we were saying like innocence or like hope or something. And then when it breaks, she loses all of that and then becomes an adult.
She
Yeah,
becomes a wage slave.
Well, there's definitely something of birth and I'm gonna say I don't know how to phrase this, because obviously eggs are representative of birth and childhood in a lot of ways, in a lot of symbology, but also the way that she specifically carries it is interesting.
Yeah, like that feels like so overt. Like literally one of the first notes I put was overt pregnancy allegory.
Yeah.
Which is when she's like putting it under her shirt.
So what you're saying is, when the egg is cracked, it's an allegory for miscarriage.
I feel like it's more an allegory for abortion, but that's just because of how deliberate the destruction of it was. Like, she didn't lose the egg, it was taken from her.
But if it's an allegory for miscarriage, it means this entire movie is loss.
And on that cheery note, I'm going to say, the bad touch the man gave the girl, it could be interpreted as an allegory, or not even an allegory at this point, or as pedophilia or grooming, and the way he deliberately, like, he waited until she fell asleep in his presence, he'd gotten her trust before taking the egg from her and smashing it.
The first thing he does when he, like, gets her trust is to smash the egg.
Also, before that, we see him sat there for, like, almost long enough that I kind of thought it had potentially frozen on stream. Like, we spend a long time with him when he sat there while she's asleep. So I
Yeah.
wonder if he was deliberating.
Like, he needs to know what's in it.
Like, it's his curiosity versus, like, not wanting to hurt this girl.
He's saying it's like optimism versus nihilism.
Potentially.
So I interpreted it as like an allegory for abuse. If she was actually a woman, or like the whole time, it's just that maybe she sees herself as a child, or possibly she was an adult, but she hadn't grown up, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because when she fell into the water at the end, the reflection
Was an
of
adult.
an adult.
That could actually have been how she actually was. It is also possible it was an allegory for she got pregnant from someone else, met someone else, that person was abusive, and she miscarried because of that.
There's, again, it's that level of, I think you get out of this what you take in. I don't necessarily think that, even though Oshi has an interpretation, and we'll get to it, this whole episode is saying there is an interpretation that the creator has, we'll get to it. But even though there is an interpretation that the creator has, I think, again, that it is something that you can take whatever you want out of. There is a lot of different ways to read it, and as with all our Death of the Author,
I was
you
gonna
can
say.
interpret it, your interpretation is no less valid than what maybe the intent was, as long as it is supported by the actual text. People use Death of the Author to justify terrible, awful, no good readings that don't actually make sense or don't actually engage with the work. That's not how that works. You do actually have to engage with the work, but your own interpretation is still valid, presuming you've done that.
If you do want to see one that's not, if you do want to see one of the worst interpretations of this work that doesn't engage in the text, she deals with all of this trauma by getting stoned.
Oh god, yeah.
As I say, the final shot of the movie being just a pan out to show the world is on the bottom of a ship or the Ark. maybe, and then it just ends.
Yeah.
It's fascinating as well.
Because there's the ocean, and then it zooms out, and then there's like a blacker ocean which is below them. So it could be the whole thing took place on the Ark, or all sorts of weird interpretation. I can't remember who, but someone said it could be the afterlife. Also, I think the girl at the end, that was a depiction of suicide.
Yeah, it definitely felt like it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if we see her come back up in any way.
No, we don't. It's just the
Like,
man.
it feels very final.
Yeah, she presumably drowns. The air bubbles from her mouth turn into eggs that float to the surface. Then we see the man, and we only see the man for the rest of the 3-5 minutes.
I mean,
Unless you
do
count the statue.
Yeah, there's the statue,
the statue.
on the big metal orb eye, which might be heaven if we go
Well, that
off
might-
It almost
like
feels like...
the divine
That could
comedy
be-
structure of heaven.
That
I
itself
think it
could
feels
be
like
the
a
Ark.
tableau. Or like a historical record. Like, I wonder if, because, like, obviously the final shot of that is we see her and the egg in the middle. Like, I
Made of
wonder
stone statues, to be clear.
Yeah.
For anyone who
yeah.
hasn't seen it.
So I wonder if the
But don't forget, the stone statues come
at
to
the
life.
beginning. No.
The fishermen in the
The
square.
fishermen come to life, but not the statues on the orb.
No, they don't.
Um,
But they could theoretically do that.
Potentially,
Possibly.
yeah.
Are
But
the
that's also
statues?
sorry.
I was gonna say, are the statues like people's physical bodies, and then on the Ark are their souls?
Maybe.
Maybe.
So when she, like, I don't know, like her soul kind of was passed, or if it is the afterlife, then that kind of makes
that's
sense.
what I was going to kind of say. Like, because we see the same thing at the beginning, I wonder if you can see her there, or if she got added. So, like, is this... Because, like, they're, like, the only two flesh humans left. So, is that everyone else? And now, like, the reason it came back was to kind of claim her?
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
But then that's the question of the vehicles that the man jumped off of at the start. Were they self-driving? Were they
Were they
driven
people?
by people? You
Yeah.
know, what's going on there?
Don't forget they were biomechanical.
I said
all
they
drivers.
I said they were. It may have just been like steam or smoke or fuel making them wobble
No.
around.
They definitely seemed to be like semi-alive. I'm with you on them being biomechanical. My worry is that looking at this might be applying too much of a literal lens to a movie that is not intended to be I speak English. Fuck. Interpreted literally. It's
I'm gonna be the first to admit I have a very dense skull. So I am interpreting stuff literally as opposed to metaphorically because I don't know where to begin with metaphors. Autism.
I know writers that use metaphor and they're all cowards.
What? Speaking of literal interpretations, what is Mamoru Oshii's? Like, what was the intent?
Oh,
Let's
Well,
do
we
it.
are 45
Let's
minutes of
do it.
recording. That is about that time to.
yeah, let's hit it.
Yeah, what's
Cool, so
the deets?
I came across a translation of a DVD insert for a Japanese release of Angel's Egg, which seems to be mostly just random interviews with Mamoru Oshii, kind of cobbled together. The actual thing isn't very well laid out because I found the original and it's very obviously like an interviewer asking questions and then his reply. And then in the translation they didn't kind of distinguish between those two at all.
Oh.
But in it, they ask, what is the symbolism of the egg? And he responds that it is... Ah, shit, let me find the tab. Where is it?
Drum roll. I didn't mean a literal drum roll. I just.
All of that staying in.
Sure, fine, whatever.
So, he basically says it's the concept of almost like denial and kind of like, oh my god, I literally can't find it.
Oh my god.
All
Oh,
of
yeah.
that drum roll.
The
for
girl
nothing.
has her egg broken by the boy. What does this symbolize? If I dare to describe it thematically, the girl's closed world, the world of night, is opened by it. The world changes completely, and the girl meets the true world. She meets her true self. So it's more kind of supposed to be representative of isolation and sort of almost delusion, because later in the same sort of set of interviews, he talks about the boy basically rescuing her
That's
from this
fascinating.
delusion because, like, she thinks she can hatch this egg and there's no way that's gonna happen. And I couldn't, like, if we agree the author is correct on this, it's interesting then that the egg was empty when she found it, because that means there was nothing to incubate. It was just a shell.
I think it's fascinating that the hero of the story, from his eyes, was the boy, and we all thought that he came across incredibly creepy
Yeah.
and manipulative.
It's in the same set of interviews, right at the top as well. It's interesting because he goes into very much the biblical aspect of the film and why he incorporated the legend of the Ark. And I'm gonna quickly try and skim through this to see if I can find where it's said here. But the reason that I said earlier that I think that what the boy carries is specific, I think it is supposed to be a crucifix. I think he is supposed to be Jesus.
Yeah, no, there is a line where it's about him showing her the way of Christ or something, was the phrasing.
Yeah. Again, I'm still just
In
trying
that
to...
case, is it also supposed to be, like, false idols?
So his idol is fine, but hers is a false idol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how most religions work.
It's
Ah.
I mean, isn't
Also,
that...
this weird section where he's, like, talking about the girl and, like, what is it? I didn't get emotionally involved with the girl, but I drew it from the perspective of how I wanted the little girl to see me. In other words, I don't want to be seen as a man in his 30s or as a father, but as a boy. Which is fucking weird to say.
So the boy is Mamoru Oshii, is what we're saying.
And Jesus.
And he broke that girl's egg.
And Jesus, and he's the savior of this little girl.
Which is so weird, because none of
so
us got
weird.
that as well.
No. Like, he just
Like,
came across
there's
as
definitely
weird
a
and
line
creepy.
somewhere where he says, like, as a guy, he can't really talk on motherhood, and it's like, then why did you have her put the egg up her shirt like that, bro?
Then, yeah, why is this movie so coded to be about motherhood? Which it is. Again, there's a lot of stuff there. If the director can't relate to that, why did you put it in there? And again,
Like,
this comes...
is it just, like, subconscious?
Again, this comes back to, like, there is no correct interpretation. I don't think we're really saying here that, like, what Oshii says in these interviews is accurate, or how you're going to interpret the film. It's different for everyone. You will get something different out of the film if you watch it, but it is very fascinating to find out what the director's opinions are, what he was maybe going for, and again, the fact that we didn't get any of that shit.
Yeah, I think it's actually more interesting that we kind of disagree with his depictions of these characters. It's way more interesting.
Yeah.
You know what we should do? We should pool our funds together, hire some animators, and make our own version of Angel's Egg.
With blackjack and hookers.
Maybe not
Isn't
that
that
last
just what
bit.
Isn't that just what FromSoft did?
I mean,
Yeah.
yes. Also, I said this during the thing. I don't know if Miyazaki has ever, not Hayao Miyazaki,
I was
from
gonna
Soft
say.
Miyazaki.
Hitataka?
Uh,
No.
I'm trying to remember. I've forgotten his name.
Dark Souls man.
Yeah, Dark Souls man.
Hidetaka Miyazaki, yeah.
Hidetaka Miyazaki. I don't know if he's ever specifically cited Angel's Egg as an influence, but if you've played the Souls games, Bloodborne, Elden Ring, those titles specifically, not necessarily the Armored Core ones that he's done, and I'm not so sure about Sekiro, I've not played that. If you've played those, you can very easily tell, like, that there is some very, very specific influence being drawn from Angel's Egg in how those games are constructed and how they choose to tell their stories, where it's minimal. There are potentially answers, but the work itself is not necessarily going to give them to you freely. It expects you to engage with it and interpret it and work out what you think is actually going on, which is the joy of the Souls series. And it's really interesting to see, like, potentially, again, I don't know if it's ever been cited as an actual direct inspiration, but potentially where that might have come from.
In Dark Souls 3, actually, I don't know. I have no idea if this is a direct reference, but there is a woman with an egg who is like fiercely protective of the egg.
Right, yes.
And when you break the egg, the world changes and becomes what it really is.
Yes, that's in the DLC. Dark Souls 3 is such a good game.
I wonder if though, like, it's just drawing, like, both are just heavily drawing from, like, Gothic literature.
Yeah.
Because a lot of that tends to be sort of, you don't really get to know much. Like, it's often very character focused and the world kind of happens around the characters.
So it doesn't feel very solid. It feels like it's moving.
It's, like, very ethereal. Also, the architecture.
Yeah.
It was very French.
It was just straight up Paris. They put Paris on the bottom of that boat like a little barnacle.
The fact it was Paris is interesting, or Parisian is interesting, because, like, why that?
Because I swear to God, it's Notre
style?
Dame, actually, in one shot.
Really?
Like, it looks really like it.
Yeah, or at least the spires.
Yeah.
Because that was...
Like, specifically, like, the two kind of wings of the church.
It's interesting. There's just so much to read into with this movie.
We haven't even spoken about the angel.
Much.
Yeah, we brought it up briefly, but, like, there's a petrified angel. There's a dead angel skeleton.
A skeleton of a human with wings with feathers instead of hands, and it's actually kind of horrifying.
Yeah, it's creepy.
I think that's where the girl got the egg from, and that
Yeah,
she wanted to bring the
potentially.
angel back.
I think that's what she thinks, because she, like, says she found the bird.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think she calls it an angel. Like, they think it's
No,
the
bird.
dove, right?
Yeah, I think so.
That was sent from the Ark to find land.
And it's also not the only egg in the movie. Like, obviously not including the ones that she, that form from
Coughs
the
up
bubbles when she
spawns.
dies. There's also the actual angel eggs, which are seen
Yeah, the,
throughout
like,
the
translucent
movie at
one.
the beginning, at the end, where you can see inside of them, and there is something that looks like sort of a bird-human hybrid inside.
I didn't see the human hybrid. They just looked like birds to me.
Yeah, like, that very, like, kind of disgruntled,
Yeah,
uncooked
huge
sort of
eyes,
vibe of
huge
baby
beak,
bird.
no feathers, kind of ugly looking.
It's weird.
I mean, it would tie into the idea of the birds, the symbolism in that.
Yeah?
Like, what do
This
the
is
fish mean? There's fish everywhere.
Also, I don't know if you saw, but I was going through that guidebook and translating it, and apparently they are supposed to be celiac camps.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, good job.
So yeah, there's something there. there's a lot here, and we've watched it once, and I don't think that means we're actually qualified to try unpacking it properly.
But that's
Like,
why
I know they're
it's
doing-
funny.
Yeah, they're doing like theater showings of it for the 40th anniversary, and I bet the whole thing feels so different on a cinema
Oh,
screen.
yeah.
Oh no! Oh, who mentioned that? That it would feel very different, like in the actual movie theater.
Even though it never, like you're saying, never originally released
I don't
in cinemas.
believe it was ever in. Well, I'm sure it's been shown in theaters since, but it was an OVA first. It was an OVA, and not like a movie, as in it wasn't in cinemas. So, if it was intended for a cinematic screen, it didn't get that for a while. It's a very interesting
also-
movie.
It's very good.
It also does feel kind of low budget in like a non-derogatory way. You know, there was just a lot of still shots and a lot of reusing of footage, and it was very slow, and that kind of added to the effect, I think.
Yeah. Do we have anything left to say? I mean, there's a ton left
I
to
don't
say.
know.
But I don't really know.
I'm sure if we sit here and keep talking about it, we'll keep coming up with stuff. But yeah, maybe we do have to pick some point to stop.
Yeah,
If
well,
you're
no,
a
it's
fan
not
of Little
really
Nightmares, you'll probably like it. It's this big dead world with a lonely child.
Yeah, fuck it. Let's hit that point. Do you like this movie? Would you recommend this OVA?
fuck yeah.
I like
Fuck
this
yeah,
movie.
recommend it.
Really good.
Recommending it depends on the headspace you're in. Because
That is true.
I'm barely in the headspace for it tonight.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I feel like we're just repeating ourselves saying that, but this is an interesting ass film.
It is definitely a whiplash from Guyver, where it's
yeah.
just like,
Although to be fair, both Guyver and Angel's Egg give you the experience of being high without actually doing any illicit drugs. I say this having never taken illicit drugs in my life, so I'm just assuming.
It it gave me like not like similar vibes, but it reminded me of the point and click puzzle game Birth, where it's very quiet and a little unsettling, but like calm and for me relaxing, but very much like, oh, this is very strange.
I find it interesting that a lot of our points of reference for what this is making us feel like, what it reminds us of, are video games more than like other movies. Because I, off the top of my head, can't really think of another movie that's really like this. You know?
So that actually almost ties in with what I was gonna say. One of the notes I do have was that it really reminds me of H.G. Geiger's art.
H.G. Giger's.
Like, especially Giger.
Yeah, Giger.
Where there were kind of those shots of sort of like the wires and the buildings and the tank where it was like borderline organic.
And
So it kind of put me in mind of Scorn. And that's the same with kind of like a very large, empty, Souls-like sort of lore, like, based world.
I'm only really familiar with Geiger's like techno-organic work, and even then, not much. But the tower full of fossils could sort of be seen as similar to his work.
Yeah, like that kind of the way the fossils were embedded in a lot of the, like, almost seemingly at random, like, into the stone really reminded me of his work.
It looks
And
like
that
the
kind
tower.
of, like, merging.
It looks like the tower was carved out of the stone that the fossils were in, and they just carved around the
Yeah.
fossils.
I mean, I've seen that in real life, but, you know, it's not normally as grand a scale as, like, a whole whale skeleton.
and maybe they're tiny if they're on the bottom of a boat.
True. That's actually just, like, a sardine skeleton.
Oh, don't remind
Actually,
me of sardines. My dad cooked sardines
has
the other
anyone
day.
ever seen or read, 14, which is a very long manga But to spoil it, so the plot is it follows a chicken-human hybrid who was going to be eaten and escapes the facility. It's insane, it's like 200 chapters long. It ends with you discovering their entire society exists on the back of a bug that's about to get hit by a car in the middle of a road.
What?
It's insane. His name is Chicken George.
Chicken George.
Like, it's such a weird manga. But no, like, it kind of reminds me of that same sort of ending where it kind of shifts the perspective
It was
of, like, this whole world.
It was a dream all
It was a
along.
But it's
Oh,
not, though.
oh,
It's just you're so small, basically. Like, the world is just so infinitely large.
It Was a Boat All Along is up there with It Was Earth All Along, It Was a Sled All Along, and what's the other big twist that everyone always points
It's
to?
about
He was
cats.
dead. He was dead. Hal, it's about cats.
Wait, isn't the he was dead
The image I posted.
Isn't that like just?
Oh, that's good.
Isn't that he was dead thing just what Drawn to Life was, where you go through everything and it turns out, oh no, it turns out that it was just a kid in a car crash hallucinating everything.
Isn't that also how Pathologic ends?
It's also the plot
Oh
of.
no, we're not discussing Pathologic. No.
And Limbo.
Oh
Really?
no, on the subject
Oh my
of
god, what's that anime called?
games that this reminds me of. Yeah, Pathologic is one of those games that this reminds me of. And we're not touching on
It's interesting
Pathologic.
though, like, with what you said about all of us kind of thinking about games. And I definitely think part of that is, in a way, watching Angel's Egg evokes that same sort of having to explore an environment. Like, you're almost playing along by having to fill in all these gaps and deduce things and being able to input yourself on it.
For me, I was gonna say it's because video games are most of the experience I have. I'm not too familiar with movies like Angel's Egg or like other art films. So like video games for me are the closest reference I can draw.
That's also probably true. I assume we're all nerds and play a lot of games.
Little Busters.
Green
Oh,
Sorry.
yes.
Yeah, no spoilers, but one of the plot points in Little Busters is dream-based shenanigans.
I kind of
also-
like, potentially it not being a dream for Angel's Egg, just because it's like, hey, isn't that fucked up? Like, the entire universe exists as a speck in an endless ocean.
Yeah.
It's like, that's already fucked enough. I don't also need to be unconscious.
I do want to cover my own ass a bit with my Limbo comment. I don't think Limbo is all a dream. Limbo is very much, again, one of those games up for interpretation. But I don't mean to say it's all a dream with Limbo. I can feel people being like, oh, this person's wrong, and it's like, no, it's not actually what I think.
It's been a long time since I played Limbo, but I distinctly remember feeling that like everything felt so scary because you were a child, and that was from the kid's perspective. But I can't remember anything else.
I'm just quickly, looking through my notes to see if there's anything we haven't covered yet.
We
And,
haven't
like,
covered
the only
Gunsmith
thing-
Cats.
Oh my fucking god.
Oh.
I was hoping we could
Did you
get
mention
through
the
an
Sailor Moon
episode.
connection?
Oh yeah, no. The Sailor Moon connection is that the girls VA voiced a character in Sailor Moon. Right?
Yay, we did it! We got the connection!
Yay!
Oh, my microphone peaked when I clapped. Uh-oh.
Oh, if you do want Hayao Miyazaki draw, he did not really care for the movie.
Oh
Did
really?
you not like it?
Where is it? There's there is one from him. Yeah, Hayao Miyazaki was more critical of the film, recounting that a producer he watched it with fell asleep during the film.
Oh.
And that one of the people who
Oh,
approved
no.
its TV broadcast said that he did not understand the film. Miyazaki himself said regarding the film that he appreciates the effort, but it's not something others would understand.
I completely
And of
get
Oshii
that.
himself, he goes on a one-way journey without thinking how to get back.
No, I completely get the Miyazaki not liking this. That actually makes a lot of sense when you look at his body of work, because as great of an artist as Hayao Miyazaki is, I do not think he could make Angel's Egg, or
Yeah,
anything
it's
close
just
to it.
different.
Yeah, it's a different...
Honestly, the only,
Yeah.
movie it puts me in mind of is Tetsuo the Iron Man. Just for that kind of avant-garde sort of style more than anything. But even, other stuff like that, if I'm thinking weird films, I immediately go to Videodrome. And it's just so different. There's almost a purity in Angel's Egg
Yeah.
that a lot of those other movies don't have. They're going for something else.
It felt almost like I've not seen much French art house, but it feels a bit like French art.
Yeah.
There was French, there was art, there was a house.
Yeah.
No one was
Our
smoking, I didn't
house
see any nipples. Though.
In the middle of our house, our house. In the middle of our house, our house. In the middle
yeah,
of
my
our
notes,
gunsmith cats.
Oh, god damn it.
I want you
The,
to
the
know.
only one I haven't covered just says straight up Noah's Ark.
Doc, I know exactly
I
what
wrote
you're
Bibble's
referencing
lesson.
with that, and I was like, oh, should I sing along? No, it's too late in the evening for that.
It's the same time on my end, so
I
yeah.
know.
Yeah, but...
2 minutes to midnight, everyone. Yay!
Oh,
This recording took 2 days. Almost.
almost.
Not quite.
Not quite.
So,
Yeah.
good film. Good film.
film,
Would
yes.
not
Yes, good
recommend
film.
if you're a little but yeah.
I would recommend it, even if you were a little I think it could be oddly grounding.
Yeah, it could be cathartic if you're, again, depends on the person.
Yeah.
I think if I was feeling down and depressed, it would be a movie that I would enjoy in that moment. But for other people,
I think
unlike
there's,
you, Doc, maybe not.
Yeah, I think you could find solace in it, but equally, it could make you feel utterly alone. Personally, one of the things I found, so engrossing with it was just how beautiful the artistry was.
Yeah,
half
I think
of
you
my,
described it as gorgeous.
It is.
Yeah, just being able to see, the brushstrokes in the watercolor backgrounds and, the pen marks.
The
for
artifacting on the
hatching.
cells, too.
Yeah, it was just so overtly made physically.
Handcrafted.
And I definitely kind of, it feels like a lot of more contemporary animation tries to hide that from you, that it was made by people, whereas this felt so touched by everyone who had participated in its creation.
Which, is that not the point of art?
Yeah, exactly.
I think we probably need to wrap up. We could probably keep going on about this movie, honestly.
We could.
We would be going around and round in circles and touching on the same four
Yeah.
things over and over again, making another gunsmith cats joke. Same old, same old.
Yeah. Good
Obligatory
as...
dragon half mentioning.
One day we'll make it through an episode without mentioning one of those two. But today is not that day. Maybe it'll be next month.
Who knows?
I'm determined to make It Was All a Boat an ongoing joke.
Jesus, that pigeon is huge.
You got a huge pigeon near you?
Yeah.
I can hear it.
Oh.
It, just landed outside the window.
Oh,
It's fucking massive.
I thought you were on about the angel. No! about the angel being a big pigeon.
I mean, we can't prove it wasn't.
Good point. On the subject of
Fun
next
fact.
month... Oh, shit.
Fun fact
Oh,
for the day. Pigeons are, city pigeons, they're actually domesticated. They're not wild, they're feral.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, pigeons and doves are actually the same bird. There's
Oh,
no
wow.
distinguishing between them. It's just the feather color.
Wait.
I did not know
So
that.
it could be.
So it could be a big
It
pigeon.
could be a big pigeon.
Yeah.
Has anyone done this theory before? Angel's Egg, or was it Big Pigeon?
Pigeon and the egg.
Why won't Big Pigeon return my calls? This is a conspiracy.
So, next month...
Big Pigeon keeps trying to have sex outside my window.
Huh? Okay, let's wrap up. Let's
let's wrap
wrap up
next
before this
month.
gets 18 plus.
Next month, we're doing... it's Christmas, so we're gonna do Christmas anime. We're gonna do... what's the name? Fucking... Tokyo Godfathers, because it's Christmas, so we do the Christmas anime. There's one. There is one Christmas
I don't know,
anime.
what about Sander?
Yes, Sander.
Airing currently. What was that really stupid ecchi one we ended up accidentally watching that was Christmas themed? That was an OVA.
Was she Santa?
I can't remember, but it
It was terrible. I'll find it and post
was
it.
so
Maybe
bad.
we can do that instead of Tokyo Godfathers.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway, yeah. Bye.
Thank you for watching this episode.
Bye.
We'll see you next month with another OVA Hell. Top of the evening to you, laddies.
I'll see ya!
Thank you for listening to this episode of OVA Hell. This episode is only made possible by the support of listeners like you, so please like, subscribe, comment, whatever to boost the show. It's more helpful than you would believe. Massive shout out to DrLockdown and MerriKiwi. You can find all of their links in the description of this podcast. Once again, thanks for listening, and we look forward to seeing you next time for Tokyo Godfathers. Merry Christmas, or something. This is coming out on like the 1st, so... yeah.